Hi and good morning. Welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about everything crypto and Bitcoin. And especially, I guess most of you are interested in the state of the market. So there's the question out there, did we see the top already? This morning I just checked my phone. Bitcoin went down to 107,000. So over the last days, as you remember, it was around 108,000. So now we have dipped even more. And a lot of people are very worried, are starting to panic, are in the state of mind that they are believe more and more that the bull market is over or there will be no alt season and so on. But I don't believe so. And why is that? Why can I say that I don't think the market top is in already? Well, over the latest weeks, I have very intensely looked at all these 34 indicators. So if you don't know, we have developed a tool, it's called Market Peak AI, that will help you to understand if the top is very likely in already or not. So I'm not estimating, I'm not following my feelings, so to say. I'm basing my prediction or knowledge on actual data. And these are the 32 of these indicators basically are peak cycle indicators. This will be something like the pi cycle indicator, will be something like the fear and greed index. We're also measuring M2 money supply, and we look at many other indicators. And you probably don't believe it, but zero of these indicators show at the moment that the top is in. So in our system, it will trigger an alert if one of these indicators is flashing. None of the systems has flashed an alert till now. And the ratio, so the risk score at the moment is measured at 52, meaning that it is in a stage where you should slowly prepare to scale out. But this does not mean that the bull market is over, and this also does not mean that you should panic sell now. The tool is also estimating a bull market top date, so to say. So the bull market date is ending. So the ending date of the bull market 2025 is estimated by our tool for the 28th of November. This will change because this is changing according to the risk factor. We should be able to track the date down 7 days exactly. So in a range of 7 days, meaning that whenever the risk indicators go up, the date will be calculated in a new way, and very likely the date will become closer. So the more risk goes up, the closer the end date becomes, quite logically, right? So if you don't use the tool, I can just encourage you to go to Market Peak AI. You can sign up for free and you will get all the data, but you get it 7 days delayed. But everything is free, all the indicators are free. You can click on every indicator, you can see how did the fear and greed index develop over the latest weeks or days and so on. So you can get all the details. So this is one factor I wanted to talk about. The bull market is not in, so it's not time to prepare already for the bear market, I would say. So let me check what I wrote down here on my notes. So yes, I think this is the most important thing for you to understand. And The question is also, can Bitcoin go even lower? And the answer is yes, it can go lower. I think at the moment we are about 13 or 14% down. Usually in September is not a good market, not a good month for Bitcoin. Usually August closes green. This August we didn't close green, and today is a very special day because it was the end of the month basically, and so we have August ending in red, which typically ends in green. And September, most of the time, is going negative. So most of the time, we see a dip in September. But will it be the same this time? Nobody really knows, right? Because, of course, we can look at the other cycles, but it's not sure how it will develop. I have somehow the feeling that we are a little early, that we moved everything a little earlier because we have seen the dip already in August. So my estimation is that we will see a sharp rise in September already. And the Fed meeting could actually support this. As you probably know, the Fed will do a meeting in September, and very likely they are cutting, or they're actually cutting the rates by, I don't know, 25 or 50. And we will see how that will go. And the question is also, is this priced in already in the market or not? But generally, it's very good for the market because global liquidity, so M2, will rise up. Also, what we need to consider is that actually, if you look at M2 now, it's actually peaked out at the end of September. So this would more or less be a little bit of a negative impact, meaning that we will get the money printing, and maybe the money printing will actually outdo basically the M2 going down. What I mean by that, I didn't explain it very well. So the M2 is delayed by about 80 to 90 days. I think the correct date at the moment is 82. Over the latest weeks, the Bitcoin price is not really following M2 very correctly. So what it means is actually that end of the September, we see actually a drop in M2 because it's delayed. But then if the money printing is coming in from the Fed, it will go up very dramatically. But theoretically, this would again be delayed by about 2.5, 3 months if you follow that. So what I wanted to say is we will see how much impact this dip will have. But at the moment, the M2 and the Bitcoin price are not really correlated. This is not very typical, but at the moment we are at this point. So if you're interested in the other assets, if you're holding Ethereum, what should you do? If you're holding Solana, if you're holding XRP, whatever you're holding, this is the question, right? You're probably asking. So I would suggest not to panic. If there is a quite high possibility that in September we will go even further down. What could that be for Bitcoin? Yeah, it's very hard to say because the cycles are different now. We have institutions coming in. We have a lot of different market players this year. For Ethereum, we see the Ethereum ecosystem also building up with Tommy Lee and all this Ethereum treasury ETF inflows as well. We had record inflows into Ethereum. BlackRock is heavily buying Ethereum ETFs, or the clients of BlackRock. So this can be interesting. So if you hold assets already, if you're very risk averse, or you think you can actually time it quite well, but for this, I want to remind you that you need quite some knowledge. It's not like that easy to just time the market to get out and get in. The getting out is probably from some of you not that difficult because you are maybe down already. Maybe you bought at 115, 120 for Bitcoin or Ethereum, also higher. And then to get out is not that painful because you are getting your money back. But the problem is then the price goes down even more and more. Do you have the balls to actually buy in again at a certain level? Or are you running with the narrative that many people run now, that actually everything is over? So you could be trapped in the situation that you're always trying to find a deeper entry point, and then but you never buy them because you say, okay, let's take the Bitcoin example. It goes down to 100, what we have seen in the morning, 107, I think. Let's say you goes down to 105. And then it even dips slightly below 105. You say to yourself, oh no, I wait. I'm sure it goes to 103 or whatever, and so on. So, and then it goes maybe a little more down, but it never touches 103. It starts to crawl up again. And you have to be careful not to get stuck in this narrative. So you need to actually follow the market. What that means is, if there is a bull market, you have to be bullish. If there is a bear market, you have to be bearish. It's simple like that. How can you define if it's a bull or bear market? Usually it's the easiest to go to a longer time chart. You look at the weekly chart or the monthly chart or even longer time frame chart. If you're not sure, you draw a line, you take the touch points, make sure you have at least 3 touch points, and you draw the line on your chart. So then you can see, is the line going up or down, or did the chart actually break the line? And then it should be quite clear for you that this is an up or down trend. So also a question I got is, should I buy now? So if you're not invested already in the market, if you're still sitting on the sideline, it's probably not the best time to buy now. I teach the theory basically that you should always mainly look at the fear and greed indicator. You can also take some other indicators. But the easiest thing, if you don't have that much experience, to figure out if now is a good time to buy or not is, of course, one thing, looking at the chart. It can be very easy. You can go to CoinMarketCap or to any other indexer and just look at the chart and see if this chart is very much down or if it's near the high. And then also what you can do is you need to figure out where are you in the market cycle. So if you know that now is actually bear market, then and the price is quite much down, then it's a good time to buy. And also look at the fear and greed index. The fear and greed index can also tell you quite a bit about the bull and bear market, because if it's extreme greed, then it's never a good time to buy. If it's fear or extreme fear, then it's most of the time a good period or good day time to buy. So look at this. So like I said, if you are thinking to buy now, it's not a good time. Why is that? Because we are late in the cycle. And probably September is going down a little more. You could wait until September is going down a little more and then maybe buy into that dip. But still, you are very late in the cycle. This is the last quarter probably where we will see some market going up. And the altcoin season. So let's have a little look at the altcoin season. Is the altcoin season canceled this year, or what's going on? Leave your opinion in the comments. So for me, I think we are just following a usual pattern, a usual halving pattern. Now we have seen Bitcoin outperforming all the other assets for a very long time. Over the latest weeks, we saw Ethereum outperforming everything, which is basically the second step of the ladder for altcoin season. And the third step, I guess, after September or at the end of September will be that a lot of altcoins will run. Why is that? Because it's about the money flow. If investors are in Bitcoin, they make a lot of money. They are looking to front run the next cycle, meaning that we have seen like this big BTC whale, which actually sold a lot of BTC and bought Ethereum and staked his Ethereum. So he was, or he is, front running the cycles. A lot of people go out of Ethereum now into Solana because this is estimated to be the next running asset. So it goes into the big L1s at the beginning, but then if people make money, a lot of money in this L1s or bigger assets, what they will do, they will get euphoric basically, and they will actually go into other assets. And if they're in Solana, if they have a lot of Solana, it's more likely that they're going to buy Solana assets because they don't have to switch or swap. Of course, it could be they go into the ecosystem of Ethereum or some other ecosystem, but mainly it is treated like that. For Ethereum, the same, but Ethereum was running already, but I guess it's not at the end. Ethereum could go at least to 5,000, in my opinion, in this cycle, and probably to 6 to 8. We don't know, right? It's also possible that the cycle is not ending end of the year. There's an opportunity window that the cycle is extended, but I'm not so sure about that. Like I told you before, our tool is estimating November 28th at the moment, which I find quite extended already, but let's see what happens. So altcoin season is not canceled, but probably the altcoins that you're holding, if you didn't pick them very wisely, will not run. There's so many altcoins out there at the moment with pump.fun, with all these other asset platforms where you can build your own coins. There's millions and millions and millions of coins out there, so the capital gets diluted. What that means is there's not so many dollars for every asset. So you need to understand the narrative. Narrative means that you need to understand what is hot, what will be hot next, where will the money go. So like we have seen with the AI agents, at the moment, the exchanges are quite hot. So Hyperliquid had a quite good run. BNB was one of the assets that has been outperforming every asset over the latest years. So exchange coins, I have heard that basically Bybit and Mantle are very connected. I think Bybit helped to establish the Mantle project, and they are thinking about putting Mantle on their platform for saving trading fees. So this could be an interesting project. But in general, I would not hype in any coin anymore very big, because like I said, the cycle, you're quite too late. You can still make some money, but it's getting riskier and riskier in this next quarter. So we never know, right? What I do is already prepare and make a list for assets that I will buy in the next bear market. So this is assets where I know that they will be needed, will be running in the next bull market, or will be hot, the hot narrative in the next market. What are these assets? So we are seeing more and more that we are getting a problem with AI, with agents, with all kind of systems that are registering on X and all the other platforms. Even on YouTube, these agents are getting so good. As you know, you can automate the content now. You can automatically generate videos. You can push them to YouTube. So we will need something like a digital verification. In general, I'm not a fan of this. Of course, this goes into more control, but it will come. So all the big platforms you will see in the next years or even shorter, they will force you basically to verify that you are a human. And there are already projects out there, as you know. So like the Altcoin thing where you scan your iris. Like I said, I'm not a fan of this, but I don't think that we will be able to stop this, and this will be required if you are trying to publish, if you want to keep your account, if you still want to be able to publish something, you will need to verify that you are a human. And so this is what will happen. So this is one narrative for me, that I will prepare this, whatever coins it is. It can be decentralized storage like Whaleros. It can be this ID verification via iris scan through WorldCoin. And it can be a lot of other platforms that are focusing on decentralized things. So making sure that actually the LLMs, the language models, have some kind of freedom. This could also be other ways of being able to use a language model that is not restricted and so on. So this is one narrative. Then also what is really pumping up now, and I've been holding Chainlink for many years, but now it's slowly getting started. But still, I don't think that Chainlink will have his moment this cycle. So also, I believe that if you buy Chainlink in the next bear market, you will do very good. You could decide to hold it through the market, but then you have to be aware that it will dramatically drop. It will at least drop 50%. And this is true, as you know, for all the assets. Even now, Chainlink is very much involved into the government, the US government, because they're using it to put their GDP on the blockchain and so on. And this brings me to the next point. So if you really want to know what the next narrative basically is, I just want to drop that in, then follow me on YouTube. I will update you, and we're also opening a school community, so you get free access to all the information. So the narrative I wanted to talk about, or basically now that they're using or they're putting the first data on the blockchain. The single most important thing that you need to understand, just putting data onto the blockchain does not make this data true, or does not make this data valid. How it works is basically a blockchain can just be true or show the true state or will be valid if data is put on the chain without basically the human has to do anything. What I mean by that is, if you would have like a sensor, or if you have a shipping lane, as like a package tracking or something, then if these sensors can't be manipulated basically, and these sensors are sending signals and the blockchain is tracking them, then this is valid data. But now the US government trying or putting GDP data and other data on the blockchain does not make this data true. What does it mean? If some employee of the Federal Reserve or the whatever government is putting data on the blockchain, this data does not become more true than they are publishing it at the moment. What will be interesting is, so the data will stay there, because on a blockchain you can't change the data. As you know, they're doing a lot of revisions. So if they release the job data, if they release some other economic data, most of the time they are using this data to tell the people it's good or it's bad. But most of the time also they are changing the data quietly in the background, because they have to review them and reduce or change them because the data was not right. So we will see how that goes with the blockchain, but please understand, just because somebody puts data on the blockchain, it doesn't mean this data is true. What else I have on my paper here? Yeah, paper Bitcoin. A lot of people are wondering why actually the Bitcoin price is not shooting up more, also the Ethereum price, because we have billions coming in every week, but the Bitcoin price is hovering around. So a lot of people, and I also think it could be quite true, believe or estimate that there must be quite some paper Bitcoin out there. And this is basically the same playbook as was used for gold. Why did the gold price a long time not go up? Because we know now that there is at least 20 times or 30 times or probably hundreds of times more gold certificates than physical gold. And to me, it seems like this is also happening with Bitcoin at the moment. So it's very strange that we have so many inflows, but the price is not moving that much. So I've calculated that for $1 billion of inflow, the price should move around 3%. And we have billions and billions, right? And we have price moves very heavily. So what if somebody is just holding paper Bitcoin? Meaning, for example, Coinbase or any of these other entities, Coinbase could just have millions of Bitcoins on the books, but they're using the same Bitcoin to give to everybody. But at the end, they just use the Bitcoin, for example, from people's accounts and give it to other institutions. So basically, it's the same Bitcoin. They're tracking the Bitcoin. You will still see your Bitcoin in your account, but basically they have been lending it out and it's not there. And also for the BlackRock ETFs or other ETFs, it's possible that they don't hold the Bitcoin that they are supposed to buy for the clients. So maybe they're just showing the Bitcoin balances, but they're not buying it because they don't show us the blockchain addresses. We have just met Hogan from, I can't remember the name now, but this is the only ETF that will actually show us that Bitcoin address, and we can prove that the Bitcoins are there. So what other topics do I have? Yeah, so you need to be careful if you really want to buy into some assets. Make sure you understand the cycle. Make sure you understand that we are actually at the very end of the cycle. There's not much time to go. I hope that was useful, and I see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye. See you.